What if I told you that an admiral will lose to a Yonko commander? And this is not just no regular Yonko commander. I'm talking about the weakest Yonko commander, yet also a Pirate King crew commander. But I'll explain more throughout the video, so you guys definitely got to stay tuned. And I will say this. That is not my words. That's Ichiro Oda, who said that Usopp will always be the weakest Straw Hat pirate physically. So Oda said this, and this is a quote by Oda. So don't come for me, guys, you Usopp fans. I'm an Usopp fan myself. And we recently saw Greenbull fight the top guys of Kaido. Yes, I'm talking about the Beast All-Stars. I'm talking about the Beast Pirate All-Stars in King, the Lunarian Race, Monster, and Queen, the Cyborg. And these ancient zones, yes, they were mortally injured from their devastating battles with Zoro and Sanji, but you have to admit, guys, like, Greenbull was putting in work in a sense. Yes, though it wasn't fair, it's still, he's one person, and in the anime it was a bunch of these pirates. If you watch the clip, it was insane. And now, of course, with Shanks vs Greenbull about to be shown in the anime, I think that's going to be even more cooler, because Greenbull's going to have a Yonko put his Conqueror's Haki presence on him, and Greenbull's going to he's going to dodge the fade. It's crazy because Greenbull pulled up the Wanda for the fade, but as Shanks said it best, yo, he's trying to get these guys, these young saplings, when they're injured from fighting a crazy war. Not a fair fight, but you know what it is. The pirate world is not about fair fights. But since the anime episode, I thought it was the best time to explain what the new Admiral and where the new Admiral will make his place in the Elbaf Arc. Yes, it's going to be Elbaf. So after Egghead Island craziness of seeing characters like Blackbeard show out, or Red Hair Shanks throw out a Divine Departure Pirate King level move, or Aokiji and his background with Garp and that whole situation there. And then of course you got the Admiral Kizaru, who went up against Yonko, Gear 5th Luffy. And then of course, now in the future, we're probably going to see Saturn, because Saturn's in the God Valley flashback, and Saturn right now is about to kill Bonnie. We're going to see some crazy Saturn Mythical Zone stuff too. So it's going to be hard to, like, I'm going to keep it real with you, it's going to be hard to top what's going on, and of course in Egghead Island. But I think Elbaf has been an arc we've been waiting for since pre-time skip, and I believe Oda has big things planned, and I'll explain in this video. Being an admiral is very prestigious. Even the Yonko know this. Like, from Luffy saying someone strong is coming when Kizaru was pulling up to Egghead Island, which was a very, very cool moment, to of course having moments of the Blackbeard pirates pretty much in awe of Aokiji's retelling the story for him versus Akainu. The admirals have always been hyped up. They've always been monsters since Nico Robin said it back in the day. So this has always been a thing in the One Piece story. Even you look at the Cross Guild and the bounties they're putting on, of course, the Marines, they gave the admirals 3 billion berry bounties. That's comparable to Yonko level bounties, because when Blackbeard initially became a Yonko, he was 2.2 billion berry. And when Luffy was the 5th Emperor, he was 1.5 billion berries. And if you think about it now, Luffy has a 3 billion berry bounty in his Yonko, a official Yonko, and that's the Admiral's bounty. Of course, Buggy's 3.1, so that he's a new Yonko too as well. So it's just like comparable. And then of course we have Blackbeard near 4 billion and Shanks around 4 billion, and then of course we have Big Mom with 4.3 and Kaido with 4.6. Then you have the legends like Whitebeard and Roger, who are in the 5 billion territory. All I'm trying to say, long story short, the admirals have respect for the Cross Guild putting out big money, big moolah for the admirals. But this video is not me just hyping up the admirals. I know people in the comments, yo, stop glazing the admirals. I know they always say this, yo, whenever you talk good about the admirals, you get pressed. I always said this, yo, I feel like the original Yonkos of Kaido, Big Mom, Shanks, and Blackbeard, I had them over the admirals. But there is outliers. You have to look at Akainu, my personal opinion. You have to look at Aokiji, my personal opinion, and Kizaru. The original admirals are impressive, though I will say that the Yonkos, I'd still give them the favor. I've always been like that. You can go back to my 7 years ago when I dropped the original Yonko vs Admiral video on YouTube 7 years ago. I've been doing this for almost nearly a decade, guys. But I want to transition, of course, to Usopp and how he is gonna be that Yonko commander for the Straw Hat Pirates to go against Admiral. You're thinking, why not Zoro? Why not Sanji? Like, why not Jinbei? Why not even Yamato, who joins? These guys are definitely very powerful characters. Zoro with his King of Hell mode, Conqueror's Haki coding. Sanji with his, of course, his pretty much, he saw what happened. He's officially a Vinsmoke Sanji. Like, the man was doing crazy things, and the blue flames and the speed in which, like, Queen couldn't even see where Sanji was, invisible. That's how fast Sanji is. Yes, Sanji's powerful. Then of course Jinbei, of course, pretty much low diffing who's who, was a pretty strong flying six member, probably the strongest flying six member. And then of course Yamato, who was fighting Kaido in hybrid form with advanced Conqueror's Haki in a mythical Zoan hybrid, which a lot of people pretty much theorized that Yamato has, of course, a awakened Zoan. Yes, these guys are all strong and whatnot. Yamato's not officially a part of the Strong Pirates yet, but I want to talk about Usopp. Yes, because Usopp, at the end of the day, Dressrosa, Oda did it, yo. Oda made Usopp the first pre-time skip Straw Hat Pirate to unlock Haki without training. We know Luffy, of course, Luffy unlocked Haki without training. I'm saying when it comes to like going into the time skip, we only knew that Luffy, Zoro, Sanji had Haki. Dressrosa came, and of course Usopp needed observation Haki to sense and save Luffy and Law so they can actually go up against the Doflamingo. That's how important Usopp was, because Sugar was about to turn them into nothing. We would never remember who they were. So Usopp always gets a W for that. And if you think about it, he even before in the previously in Dressrosa, he got his crazy bounty because of how he got all his followers. They were literally calling him God Usopp, and he took out Sugar. Like before the Luffy Law situation, he took out Sugar. Usopp definitely, Dressrosa was the last time we had an Usopp hype moment. It's been a lot of arcs since Dressrosa, guys. Think about it. We had Zoe, we had of course Whole Cake Island, we had of course the Reverie, we had Wano, which recently ended, and the anime is about to close up Wano right now too. And now in the final saga, we just had Egghead Island arc and the craziness there. A lot of arcs have happened since Dressrosa, so we need to see Usopp do something. And I think now that Elbaf's been foreshadowed, this is the arc he's been talking about. We have to make it this arc. Yeah, you heard me, guys. Little Garden. Don't forget Little Garden with Dory and Broggy. And Dory and Broggy were literally teaming up with Shanks to destroy the Eustace Kid Captain Kid Pirates ship, guys. And Dory and Broggy were pretty much what the motivation for Usopp to go to Elbaf and be like the giants. I know the jokes, like Usopp being a giant, that's crazy. He's the weakest Straw Hat Pirate, right? Well, don't forget Usopp's dream. His dream is to become a brave warrior of the seas. That is Usopp's dream, guys. So there's a lot of things when it comes to Little Garden, and after that too, like there's been a lot of hype for Usopp's character, and I think we have to do it now, guys. This arc is the arc. Elbaf is the arc. And if you think about it, guys, look at the Straw Pirates. Of course, after Dressrosa, Usopp got a 200 million berry bounty, and we all know after Dressrosa, Usopp had one of the highest bounties, of course, in the Straw Pirate crew. But let's look at it, of course, not looking at Dressrosa recently. We have, of course, Luffy with all 3 billion berry bounty. We have Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei with over 1 billion berry in bounties. They're the top young commanders when it comes to bounty. Even we saw Bonnie when she saw Luffy, she's like, I can't believe you got Jinbei, the Knight of Sea, on your crew. Even Kid and Law's reaction to Jinbei coming to Wano. Like, Jinbei has a lot of clout in the One Piece story in the world, and he proved it in Wano when it comes to his power and abilities. Also, the clutchness of the water when the fire was overtaking the Wano people and the soldiers fighting the samurai. The water really came clutch. But I also want to say this, Nico Robin recently is finally getting the bounty she deserves. Guys, I'm telling you right now, I never understood why Nico Robin's bounty wasn't so high, but now she has nearly 1 billion berry bounty. She has a 900 million plus bounty. That is the bounty Nico Robin deserves because she can read the Poneglyphs, and she's now logged in as the 5th highest bounty, of course. So that puts Usopp at 6th highest in the Straw Pirates with a 500 million berry bounty. Now it's pretty sick too, because he now has the same bounty of Luffy after Dressrosa, after being Doflamingo. So Usopp has a high bounty, but I'm telling you guys right now, Usopp, he had his hype moment with after Dressrosa. Now he's like around 6. I think after Elbaf, Usopp will get into, of course, not just top 5. I think top 4. I think Luffy, Zoro. I wouldn't be surprised if Usopp gets to 3 or 4, because we've seen it recently. Sanji should have been 3, but Jinbei got 3. So I can't lie. The meme is it probably could be a situation where Sanji, of course, Sanji could surpass Zoro bounty, and then Usopp could surpass, of course, Zoro, and then Zoro surpasses them, and then Usopp is now 3rd. There could be so many mix and match when it comes to bounties. At the end of the day, it is just bounty, so I just thought I would talk about it. And I have to talk about it. Post time skip, Usopp was one of the first guys we seen post time skip. And his fighting style is literally all plant-based. We've seen it in Fishman Island, guys. We've seen it in Punk Hazard. We've seen it in Dressrosa. We've seen it constantly. Usopp is a plant-based fighter. And coincidence, who in the One Piece story literally is a plant-based fighter as well, who's a top tier? I don't know. Maybe it's the Logia that's part of the Admirals. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. The Force human? I don't know. And it would be so poetic because we just saw the anime episode, guys. You guys saw the anime episode. In the manga as well, Greenbull is talking shit about young commanders. He said he would not have his reputation. It would be kind of hurt his reputation if he lost to a few top young commanders. This is two guys with over $1 billion berry bounty and king and queen. That's what he's saying, guys. Like, he's pretty much saying that, oh, it would be embarrassing to lose to king queen. I'm just thinking, what are you talking about? That's how much he says the Admiral prestige is up there. And I think the perfect way to humble Greenbull is having a Yonko commander actually defeat him. And not just any Yonko commander. I'm talking about Usopp. And it would be so funny because we know Greenbull's trying to impress Akainu. Because Akainu's absolute justice. He admires it because, of course, Greenbull is determined justice. I'll talk about that more later in this video. So to see him trying to get to Luffy and then taken out by Usopp, the jokes will just fly. Because I think Usopp and Buggy are the funniest characters alongside. Luffy's funny too. I think Luffy's one of the funnier ones too. But Luffy has that badass side to them. Usopp and Buggy don't really have that badass side. It's just straight comedy, so I definitely want to see a comedic gag moment with Usopp and Greenbull. It would just be comedy. And then, of course, there's the whole plot line of Weevil, and no one's talking about it. Greenbull literally pulled up to Whitebeard's former island, of course, that Marco's been watching over. He pulled up there and he defeated Weevil. Weevil is the man reminiscent to Whitebeard in his youth power. These are words said by Kizaru, not me. And Greenbull went up there and defeated him, and Miss Buckins was giving Greenbull a lot of props for his strength. So I've always felt like Weevil is going to be a Majin Buu level type character. And what I mean by that is that there's going to be someone controlling him. And of course, we know Buu in Dragon Ball Z, if you guys don't know, he was controlled by two characters. His first master, Babidi, and of course his next master, which was Hercules, Mr. Hercules. So definitely think that Buggy or Usopp can definitely fit that role really well because of how weak they are, but how much hype they get as characters. I think it would be cool to see Weevil with Usopp too as well. I've always been the Buggy side, but if Weevil, and of course it could work well because Cross Guild needs a factor in this Elbaf arc. They need to do something in Elbaf because I don't see I think Cross Guild is going to be irrelevant when it comes to Blackbeard versus Shanks, but I think Elbaf would also be cool to hype them up a little bit more. So you're probably thinking, if Usopp takes out an Admiral, what's going to leave for Zoro and Sanji? Well, there's actually spots left for Zoro and Sanji. Zoro could fight easily Fujitora. He's a swordsman with an overpowered ability with the Admiral status, and they've fought previously in Dressrosa. So people are talking about like, no, Zoro has an Admiral to fight in Fujitora if that plot line does go. And then for Sanji, you can't forget Sanji can fight Kizaru. Sanji literally Wano put his speed into insane levels. Sanji is one of the fastest characters in the One Piece story after Wano. Queen couldn't even see him in Wano, and you're trying to tell me that Kizaru is not the perfect battle for Sanji? And people will be like, wait, Kizaru just lost to Gear 5th Luffy. Well, actually, I think that was one of the most justifiable Admiral losses I've seen in the story. Yes, it was one devastating punch, but let's be honest here, Luffy's Gear 5th right out too, so it wasn't that bad for Kizaru. It wasn't crazy for Kizaru, and I think that's perfect because you're still making Kizaru look hype, and then you give him to Sanji and the story. It's perfect. Speedster, it's a speedster battle, and it'll be just fun to see. But I also want to talk about how Greenbull is so intricate when it comes to his plot line, guys. Don't forget chapter 905, during the reverie, Greenbull's shown in his silhouette form, and he said that he fasted for 3 years. And if you guys remember Big Mom's flashback in the Elbaf Arc, in the flashback, it's not really Elbaf, the Elbaf Island in Big Mom's flashback, they talk about fasting, of course, for the sun god. That's their whole religion they did. And of course, we all saw what's going on recently when it comes to Luffy and what he's been called lately. Come on, I'm not gonna put 2 and 2 together for you guys. It's so obvious. And then, of course, there's even Greenbull saying, the last time I ate was when a pretty lady gave me food. And I think this could be referenced to if Imu is a woman. If Nerona Imu is a woman, this could be referenced to some deeper stuff when it comes to, we saw how Imu was surrounded by forest and trees and plant life, and Greenbull is a forest human, and people think that she could possibly have the earth mythical zone fruit, and that would tie into, of course, the forest Logia, and the connections there will just go wild, and how they can help each other and whatnot, and how Greenbull became an admiral in the first place. Yes, there's a lot that can go there. That could be something that could be a plot line in the One Piece story. But then people will be like, wouldn't that mean more setup for Greenbull versus Luffy? Because like, think about it now. We already have the Akainu trying to impress Akainu thing, and then of course if he's trying to impress Imu as well, wouldn't that be like more build up for Nika, the sun god Nika Luffy, the title he has, and Greenbull, and how he's fasting, and is how it would just make perfect sense. And how pretty much I think this also still doesn't delete Usopp's story from fighting Greenbull, because you could have a situation where, I've always thought about it, Gear 5th Nika, the ability to make Usopp have some of that Gear 5th power. If Gear 5th can actually make Usopp stronger somehow, some way through the awakening, and have Usopp do a finishing sniping blow, that would be crazy. And I don't think Greenbull will be a Kaido like character in, of course, Elbaf. I think Greenbull's gonna be more like a Big Mom, still a main villain, but not the main villain. And that's something that could definitely be explored. And speaking of Big Mom can definitely come back in this arc. And then of course there's relatability. Oda and SBS confirmed that Greenbull's justice is determined justice, like what he did at Wano, ignoring Akainu's orders because he was determined to impress Akainu. And that takes determination. Yes, they're weakened, but he went up against Yamato, the Red Scabbards, and of course he went against King and Queen prior. I know they're injured and all weakened and whatnot, but still. And then of course you also saw that he was trying to get at Luffy right after. So this guy was determined to go to Luffy, and it took the red hair pirate stopping him, guys. That's determination. Even Kizaru wouldn't do that. Akainu stopped Kizaru from going against Kaido and Big Mom. He wanted to, but Akainu said no, don't do that, because we don't know the unknown samurai force. And then of course there's also the fact that of course the sad past. Oda said that Greenbull has a sad past relating to a woman, and of course Usopp from his mother passing early on to Kaya. Definitely could see some connections there with Greenbull. It's determined just because Usopp is a determined character to become a brave warrior of the sea, and of course the whole plotline of the sad woman plotline that's definitely been explored in the SBS by Ichiro Oda. And then I think the perfect thing to bring up is Shanks conquers Haki. Why did Oda make Shanks use conquers Haki? Not clash like Shanks did against Akainu, but Shanks actually used conquers Haki to stop an admiral. That was interesting. Remember when Usopp said he has Conqueror's Haki to, of course, the Tantadas? This could be a perfect timeline where Usopp awakens Conqueror's Haki against the Admiral Greenbull, making his sniping ability stronger. If Usopp could do Conqueror's Haki coding, sniping abilities, what the hell? That's crazy. And finally, don't forget when Luffy was fighting the big bad villain in Enies Lobby Lucci, Sniper King Usopp came to save the day with not his power but his words. I think doing a similar thing with Greenbull, but also using his power and how strong he's got with his Haki, would just definitely be so interesting to see in the story. Honestly, guys, it would just be a fun plot line. So yes, I know people are thinking Usopp, the weakest Straw Hat, beating an Admiral Greenbull. Why do you want it so badly? I think it's good for the story. I think it's really good for the story, and that's why I want it. I know people will be like, wow, people are gonna shit on Greenbull even further, but honestly, if they do it the right way, which I trust Ichiro Oda, we're definitely gonna see some crazy stuff, guys. And finally, at the end of this video, if you made it to the end of this video, I'll give you a bonus treat. I will tell you guys this. I've been hearing some things in the sources and leaks. Stay away from social media if you are a One Piece manga fan. The next chapter, I heard, is going to be crazy, so don't read spoilers if you really want to get a good experience. Not me personally, I am gonna drop a spoiler video, but I won't spoil you guys in the thumbnail and title. You guys will just look out for a spoiler video, and I will discuss the spoilers, because I've been reading spoilers for years now. I'm kind of addicted to it, and it doesn't really ruin my this experience with the manga, because I can see the panels and whatnot after and all that. So that's a little bonus for you guys, for whoever stick to the end, and I'm pretty much gone.